Today we're going through a how-to, or at least how we do it, for the construction of one of these rabbit tractors. So anybody who's followed along with us for a while knows we've already done a video sort of talking about the construction of these rabbit tractors. But there is one part of this that we didn't actually show. We showed what it is, but we didn't show its construction. So we're going to go through that part of it, which I'll show you what that is in a second. We're going to do a little bit of a recap on the actual tractor part of it as well, because the two components go hand in hand for making this work. So there's one of our completed tractors. We already have 3 of these in use, and basically we need a 4th one because our whole system for raising the Dargent rabbits kind of works on a 4 litter cycle. It's never perfect, but basically the part we're talking about first today is the wooden box. So this wood box is actually an important component of these tractors functioning, and basically they do 2 things. One, they give the rabbits somewhere to get out of the rain if we have a rainy day. They do provide some shade, although we have found we've had to add that board that just kind of sits over top of the cage section. But the big thing is it helps deter predators, because the rabbits are active at night, same time when raccoons, the principal predator, is active. So this box and the way it's constructed is essentially large enough to allow them to go to the back of the cage where nothing can reach through and grab them. So this is by no means the only way to build a rabbit tractor. There are other designs. We just found that the smaller design gave them lots of space for grow out, but it was manageable. So the box was separate from the cage portion because A, then the rabbits can't chew in the box, and B, it was very simple for moving the tractors because we simply flip the box up, move the wire cage portion, and then move the box over to the cage section, and they're set. So first step in this whole process is getting the pieces you need. And we're going to run through here what exactly you need to complete this box. For the construction of the box, you will need some power tools. We use a skill saw. Obviously, that's something you want to have a pretty good understanding of how to use before you use one. And a drill, because you could hammer this together with nails, but we find the screws just last a heck of a lot longer, and if you have to take something apart, it's a lot easier than nailing it together. But for the actual cage construction, there's very little in the way of tools. Well, we're going to assemble this box now because we've already kind of pre-cut all of our pieces. Through the magic of editing software, we're able to speed that up for you a little bit. But sort of while we're doing that, I want to talk a little bit about sort of our use of the tractors, because this is something we've experimented with for a very long time. Now, we've had some multiple iterations of this, and the design that we've come up with and have in use is the one we like the best. And we like it the best because A, it provides quite a bit of square footage for the young rabbits. This is for grow outs. So we don't use this for adult rabbits because we find by the time they reach adulthood, they're really likely to dig out, which basically defeats the purpose. And we find they do better with the cut and carry method where you bring the food to them. But when they're young, this is nice because you can put them out, and although we still pellet feed, they can collect a lot of food, fairly high quality food. I mean, it's nutritious. It's basically, air quotations, pasture fed rabbit. And we just find it works well. Now, we did toy with some different building options, slightly smaller sized cages, but we found that they didn't work so well because basically they needed to be moved more frequently, and they were a little more easy for predators to pull around. That's one thing. These aren't super heavy. They're quite manageable by a human, but they have enough heft to them that it seems to deter some of the smaller predators. That being said, use at your own caution because it depends on your predator pressure in your area and how interested they are in rabbits. We find raccoons typically ignore the rabbits, partially because they have no interest in the food, the pellets, and I don't know whether they feel they can catch the rabbits. We've only ever had issues with very young rabbits in tractors, and that was kind of a bit of a failed exercise, and we revamped accordingly. Very simple design. One thing that we changed from our other tractors, and we actually are going to go back and modify them or update them with this. We've had those tractors in use for 4 to 5. Has it been 7 years? Mm-hmm. Wow, 7 years. So they need a little bit of TLC. But one thing we found was this top bar. We've replaced it with a 2x4. We used strapping before, and we just found that was the place where you tend to pick it up. They've lasted amazing, but the 2x4 will give it a bit of extra strength. Due to a little bit of an error in what we thought we had for materials, we have to go and purchase some more shelving material.
So for our tractors, for the sides, we use the 1-inch shelving. It's Rubbermaid shelving that you get at Home Depot. We had 4 of them, and we thought they were all the same, but it turns out 3 of them were the 1/2 inch. And this is what we use as the floors of our rabbit hutches, which there will be some videos coming because we're making more of those because boy, oh boy, we seem to have a lot of rabbits. But now we need to go get some more of these because these are a lot more valuable and therefore not really the best use of money for tractors. So we are going to make a quick run, get some more shelves, and get back here and get this job finished.
All right, well, we are back from town and
the next day. We didn't check what time they were open till on a Sunday, so this is now Monday.
Anyways, we're back from town and we've got it all cut up to make our sort of cage frame, which I'll show you in a moment. We have a video where we talked about this a little bit more as to how we put this together, so we're going to run through this kind of quick. You will need bolt cutters to do this, to cut the cage wire. They make it a lot easier. And you will need rabbit cage clips, which are just kind of a standard thing. They have a special little funky tool for
you can
assembling.
buy them at most supply stores.
Most farm supply stores probably have them.
So as you can see, we are using the Rubbermaid shelves that we love so much to make this rabbit tractor. Basically what you need is 4 8-foot long by 16-inch, 1-inch wide slats. And then we've got 2 32-inch pieces on the end so that obviously the lid works with 2 of them put together. And like Chris said, we're not going to go into too much more detail on this, but I will just say I went and bought these. They were $29.95 each. So basically you're going to need 5 to make this structure. We happen to have ends that were old scraps from smaller rabbit cages that we had made before, so we didn't need to buy that last piece for the end. But in the end, you would be 5 pieces for this, which would run you about $150 plus your hardware and things like that. But boy, I tell you, it is worth it. The space that this gives, the cleanliness, and also that extra sustenance from the grass, plus the lawn mowing, really it's a win-win. One thing I think Chris mentioned a little earlier in this video was that these tractors work great for young rabbits that don't dig yet. We do not put any type of bottoms in these or slats. You could adapt it. You could use conduit or wood or even a 2x4 wire if you want. We've kind of played around with that a little bit for ourselves, and we've found that the amount of grass that it covers up and squishes and everything else, it just isn't worth it. Plus the big rabbits dig whether they've got a little slat or a big slat. So it just wasn't worth it for us. The big rabbits stay where they are and we bring everything to them, but this works fantastic for all those grow outs. And basically, you know, even I'm going to say it up to 4 or 5 months, they're still good in these without any digging or stuff like that. And that's partially because you're always moving them. But anyways, we're going to get this done.
Well, there we go. All assembled. Lid is on. Walls are up. Box is made. It's time to take this to where it's going to start and move the bunnies. All right. Well, everybody's been caught and sorted, and tractor has been placed where it needs to go, and food is coming and water's coming, and we're just about to let these bunnies out. One sort of word of caution I will give here, because you read a lot of conflicting information on this, is if you're going to use the tractors for the rabbits, you do not want to just take rabbits who've had nothing but pellets, put them into a tractor with really less grass and expect everything to go well, because it probably won't. You will have to acclimatize them, and our opinion, for what it's worth, is that rabbits are very similar to larger animals like cattle. In the spring, when you have cattle, you don't just let them out onto a nice lush pasture. You have to gradually ease them into it because they have gut flora. In the case of cows, they have the rumen with the four-chambered stomach. In the case of rabbits, they use fermentation in cica in their intestines, which that's a whole other topic. But just a word of warning there, you don't want to just take young rabbits who have never been exposed to greens and throw them out in a tractor, because that's just a disaster waiting to happen. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this video. That's basically our rabbit tractor construction. So now you have the full picture For those of you who have been following along with us, and for those of you who are just finding us, you've got enough of a picture to piece together sort of how we do this. But these rabbits are going to enjoy this once they kind of get over their initial shell shock. And yeah, it's that simple. So if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And there will be more rabbit content in the near future.